Hello and welcome to Books and Booze.
Hi, everyone.
Jessica, Sonia,
Hi.
and a new author today. We have Kalista Neith. And you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a debut author. I like to haunt Barnes and Nobles. I write dark fantasy romance. So what I will always write about is going to be love, and then like what your love is sacrifice and what are you willing to offer will be my writing theme. So you get happily ever after, but I'll hurt you first.
Now, I'll be
amazing.
honest, I am not dark romance is a new genre to me. So like I'm so excited to have like authors like that come on the podcast because I'm learning so much.
She's learning a lot right
romance. I'm dark fantasy with
Dark
romance.
fantasy.
So yeah, so like my setting is dark and stuff, but he kidnaps her, so it's a little dark, but it's not like the really, really dark where like he stalks her and hurts her and does that kind of stuff. So it's not, I wouldn't consider myself dark romance, but it's a dark fantasy / romance.
Either way, still new to me. See, I didn't even know the term.
She reads more horror than anything. So like that's her thing. And then
nonfiction.
Nonfiction. And Sonia likes sci-fi and space odyssey stuff.
Fantasy. I like fantasy. Like elves, dragons. I just don't like the smut part of those books, you know? Like I like adventure fantasy.
Don't read mine.
Yeah. Dawn usually talks about those things. Yeah. But I like the fantasy adventure.
Yeah. So where are you from, by the way?
I am originally from Hawaii, but I now live and burn in Arizona in the desert. It's great.
That sounds terrible.
We're Canadian, so like Arizona's like the opposite of Canada.
Yes.
Yeah, we vacationed in Las Vegas, which is also part of the desert, and I was not a fan. Like the air was not good to me.
Oh.
Yeah, the air is difficult to breathe sometimes. I'm a house cat. I stay inside my little box and I write my books. I just hang out here.
Nice. All right, you want to tell us a little bit about the book we have today?
Yeah, so Invoking the Blood. This is my enemies to lovers in a dark fantasy setting with Hades, Persephone vibes, and vampires. So that's my elevator pitch that I throw at people when I go to Barnes & Noble.
Sweet.
Is there a reason you started writing this genre, like over like other genres, you know?
So I've had this story since I was like 14. So I've had it for a long time. It's just always been a part of me, and I've gotten to a point in my life where I can do the things I want to now. So I decided I wanted to write. So I'm getting the story out finally. Like when I was very young, I watched a show called Forever Nights. I'm going to age the hell out of myself. So I was like in middle school, and it was like this vampire cop show. And I saw there was one where like his mentor or his maker like fell in love with the sister, and the main character was like, no, you can't have my sister. And his maker's like, well, fuck you. I'm gonna do what I want to because I'm stronger than you. He's like, no, we'll trade. See, when I fall in love, you can have her, and then you can't have my sister, and we're just gonna call it even. So they agree on that, and my 14-year-old mind was like, that is amazing. I love that. And then the rest of this just came off of my head.
That's great.
So I'm assuming you're a planner then. Like I'm assuming you like plot out your story. Considering you held on to that one for a while.
I did. I held on to this thing for like almost 30 years. I've had it for a long time. I've had it for a while. So I was originally a really like hardcore plotter, but my editor is a pantser. So she's like slowly corrupted me to where now I have an outline. But as I write, like I'll discover new things as I write, and that kind of like alters the outline. So I used to have just like a straight, like this is what happens. And now it's kind of, oh, we're doing this too. Oh, we're doing this too.
Nice. What would you say is the hardest part about being an author?
Because you're a public figure, I think like I cannot read my reviews. Like I thought I was like mentally stable and I would be able to read my reviews and it would help me, and I am not. I am not able to read reviews. I am very weak in that sense. They stick with me. Like even the good ones, the good and the bad, they like linger, and it's difficult to like produce what you need to write. So that I think I need like hiding from your reviews is like the first thing, and then writing writing to be able to be true to the story, because you obviously have like people in your life that are like, oh, you wrote a book, I want to read it, and you're like, no, I don't want to talk to you at Christmas time and have you hear about this. So that is also kind of difficult. So that'll be the two biggest things, I think. Like, you need to write like everybody in your life is dead and no one is ever going to read this.
That's
and then
fair.
don't look at your reviews.
Yeah. Don't look at reviews.
I think we relate to that because half the time with our podcast, we're like, I hope my family member doesn't listen to this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right?
No. I found out my grandma listens to our podcast, and that's a little embarrassing. She's supportive, but like some things your grandma shouldn't know about you.
Yeah, it's
Like
fair.
Or your husband.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. My parents, I'm very lucky. I have a very supportive family. They're great. And
That's
so my
good.
parents read my book. And then my stepmom wants to talk to me about it. And I'm like, no. Because like there's a line where there's Faye's main character and Sparrow's a sister, and Sparrow's just like a mouthpiece. So she tells her that her Sparrow tells Faye that if in your dreams, if he's not a 3-finger killer, throw him back. And she's like, what does that mean? So she goes, if he's not this far across, throw his ass back. And so my stepmother is trying to have a conversation with me about this, and I'm like, no.
Don't do it.
Boundaries, please.
Stay in your perimeter. It's like
I always wonder because, like, you know, like we've had a few smut authors on here, and like a lot of them actually like come from like supportive circles, like maybe not all family, but like supportive circles. And I'm always just like, how do you feel like certain people like reading certain scenes, like, and it doesn't have to be like smut or anything, it just be anything, like even like certain books are maybe more violent or certain books or whatever. It's like, how do you, like, you know, dealing with people that know you in real life? I feel like that's like I like to pretend that people are not there.
yeah, I don't know you from this point on. We don't know each other.
Yeah,
I'm like, nah, I don't know.
This author, not me. Just forget, like, separate the art from the artist.
Right?
Like, this is a good, valid moment to do that.
That's not even my name. I don't know who you're talking about. What?
No idea.
This is when you get pen names, like two different personas.
This is exactly a pen name for that reason altogether.
Oh my goodness. How long does it usually take you to write a book?
So I take about a year. Invoking the Blood got rewritten because this is like the one I cut all my teeth on. So this one was rewritten 3 times before it came to fruition, to being an actual book. So like what I initially had that I gave my editor is unrecognizable from what I have now. Like initially it was like Insta Love and this, that, and the other. It was garbage. And my editor was like, the hell? So I rewrote it again. And she's like, okay, this is better, but we got to tweak this. And I rewrote it again. So this got written a 3rd time, like 6 weeks before release. And then now we have this thing here.
That's
it's
amazing.
A thick one. That looks thick.
Yeah.
It's like 130,000 pages.
Oh,
baby.
That's good.
Or not pages, words.
Words, yeah.
Words, yeah.
I was like,
say
oh,
pages.
That's a lot of
God.
That's encyclopedia.
Bigger than some of my college textbooks.
This is chapter 1.
Volume 1.
Yeah.
Like entire Encyclopedia Britannica. Like,
right?
The story.
Like this whole row, this is my book.
Yeah. You have to have a truck to carry it home.
Right? It's going to be real expensive at Barnes & Noble.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
So speaking of...
Oh, no.
Yeah. So speaking of Barnes and Nobles, you said that you like stock there. Do you have one specifically you go to, or do you like travel to different ones, like a little Barnes and Noble tour to tell people to read your book?
I have 4 in the Arizona area that I go to. One day I would like to tour, but I have animals that are like clingy and they need my attention. I got to feed them and stuff like that.
I do. Yeah. Oh,
I got creatures that like need to be fed and watered. I don't know what they're about. But I have, yeah, exactly. I got 2 of those. One of them is my husband's mistress, and it stays in the garage. Like I bought it home. It loved me until it saw my husband.
It's a cat.
Guys, it's a cat. It's a boy cat, and his name is Scotch. And like I brought him home. I bought him. He loved me until my husband came home that night, and then I was chopped liver. And then like he will wedge himself in between myself and my husband, like between our legs. It would like squish in there. It'd be like, get away from my husband, you horrible, horrible harlot.
Okay, no one loves a cat more than the partner that didn't want it.
Yep.
That's always what I say.
This cat straight loves him, though. It is ridiculous. I was like, I adopted you. What happened? My name is on your paperwork.
They don't care. There's no loyalty when it comes to cats. Yeah.
Right?
No loyalty.
Who would be your favorite author?
My favorite author is Anne Bishop. This bitch right here.
I get it.
This bitch.
This bitch. And I have a lot of inspiration from her. So if readers like Anne Bishop, any of her stuff, the Black Jewel novels, it's very similar. So it's the same vibe. But yes, I idolize her. I love her. So that is my queen right there.
Is there like a specific book that's your favorite?
My favorite is she had a trilogy. She has 12 books in the series so far.
Okay.
The first 3 was I have them right here too. So these were the first 3, and they're like from 1998, so they're like really old and like horrible looking. But yeah,
1998.
Yeah, 1998.
That was really old.
Yeah.
Is that what I just heard?
Because
like I hate to tell you, I was alive then.
I was 18 then.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I was 7. But
You were a baby.
I was graduating high school when I picked up these books. But
Have you ever got
her first trilogy? I have not got to meet her, but I have a bunch of her signed books. So like she goes to Barnes & Noble and she signs all the books, and I called them. I'm like, can you please send that to me? Because I don't live in New York. That'd be awesome.
Ship it over. Just ship it.
Yeah.
FedEx it.
She just released The Queen's Price. So I just literally called them this morning and I was like, hey, can I have 2 of those signed copies? Can you ship them over to me?
Yeah, if she's in
They
again.
put me on hold to ask the manager, and I was like, wait, I'm going to let them say yes because I'm going to get real mean on the phone.
Bring out your inner Karen.
No.
Right?
you don't have a choice.
Yeah. This is unacceptable. Just do it. What would you say is harder, world building or character development?
I get the characters first. Like the characters come to me initially, and then their background kind of builds the world. So that would be like where I need to fill in. So I would say the world building is more difficult.
Yeah, like
That's what I
it's
would
like
assume
sometimes
anyway.
it takes a lot of research, right? Like,
because I write high fantasy, I just make shit up. So
Yes, that's the best thing about
I don't gotta
fantasy. You're
research
just
shit.
that's right.
But that means also like making shit consistent, as well as also having the imagination to like expand. So that's still like hard work.
It is.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
there must be like a lot of note taking.
I got a lot of nonsense up here that I could pull from, so it's good for me.
It's just making the nonsense make sense.
Yes.
To others. It makes sense to you always, but like to others.
Yes, to get into others is definitely a thing. You need a good editor, and they will help you clarify your idea. I could not live without my editor.
That's what we've heard from a few authors. A lot of them have said they're like, find a good editor. Like that's like always their like number one tip. Do you have other tips like for like aspiring artists like Dawn?
Absolutely. I do a lot of my content is for like a lot of what we do is trial by fire. So I've walked through a lot of the fire, so I don't gatekeep. I throw it all out there on my platform and TikTok, which hopefully will be around for a lot longer. I'm hoping it doesn't explode, but I think it'll be fine. But the first thing, because I also get this when I'm like at Barnes Noble doing a signing, I get this a lot as well as you're going through and signing the books. Like they'll ask you like, oh, how'd you get here? How'd you do this? How are you Barnes Noble? Blah 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 blah. So the first thing is you need to have a draft before you can edit. Don't like, for myself personally, I cannot edit as I write. I have to like word vomit out the whole thing and then I can fix it. And be kind to yourself because everyone's first draft is like hot ass raccoon dumpster fire garbage. So just get it out. It'll be fine. The beauty in writing comes in the rewriting and the editing, not in the first draft. Your first draft, your zero draft is going to be garbage. Just let it go. It's going to be garbage. It's fine. Your critique partner and your editor will make or break you. So get those. Your critique partner especially. That's the person that you're going to like trade your raw dog files with, and you guys critique each other's porn or whatever it is you're writing, and they will literally make or break you, and they have to be able to be honest with you, be like, hey, this isn't working, or like whatnot. I'm like, for my second book, in my universe, like there's a hunter's moon that makes the vampires like really lustful for either blood or sex, or like it makes them out of their head. Yeah. So we needed to have a scene that reflected that, because my vampire guy is very controlled and very reserved and very like, he's like a buttoned up suit all the time, but in the back of his head, he's not like that. He's very, very aggressive and wild. So I had to rewrite that thing, I swear to God, 14 times before my critique partner was like, okay, this is far enough, because you weren't pushing it hard enough.
This is the line. This is right here. Yeah. Don't, like,
this is the line. Continue. This is where we need to go to here.
Yeah. You go too far, then we have to like draw it back.
Yeah. And that's another thing, that's another best piece of advice I got, was from my editor, because I would be afraid to write things, because like my vampires, my purebloods, they have like their themselves, and then they have a bloodlust inside of them. So it's like how the werewolves have like their wolf, right? So I gave my vampires a bloodlust, and it's called a Revashnik, and I got that word from Hishnik is Russian for predator, and then ravenous. I put those together, so Revashnik. So that's what their bloodlust is called. So there's like two people in one body, so it's kind of like a Eddie and Venom situation. So she ends up with both of them. And I was like, am I allowed to write a threesome? Is this a romance book? Is this okay? And she was like, bitch, if you don't write that, I will riot. And she lives 6 hours away from me, so she won't come to my house and destroy my...
Don't make me come down there.
That's good, though. That's good. You need people that push you.
Yes,
Adon?
You do.
Yes.
Adon.
Leading team right here.
Yeah, I'm on your ass.
She is. Like, every day she asks me constantly, did you write today? Like, she doesn't care. It's just, did you put pen to paper, or did you type? Did you do something? And either I did or I didn't. Like,
did you? I heard you did.
I did. Okay. So, funny story. My child, he's ASD. But he's going through a sleep regression right now. And like, he woke up at 3 a.m. And like, and obviously a lot of authors, I guess this is a thing. That's when your ideas come. Like, I was sleep deprived. It's 3 a.m. and all of a sudden now I had to write, and I just could not stop. It was crazy.
That's not just authors.
Good.
Yeah, that's not just authors, because like sometimes
that's everybody.
So, that's what I was gonna say. So my husband does music professionally, and he'll wake up at like 3 a.m. and he'll go into the hallway and he'll hold up his microphone, like his cell phone, to his mouth, and he'll be like, and then he's like, "Sorry, I had to record an idea."
Yeah. So creatives are like that. It's the witching hour that you gotta just write all your shit down.
Yeah, like you have to do it like right then, because like when it's like convenient time, it might not be there anymore, and you're just like, what did I think? Like, and then you lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing is a lot of new authors will come to me and they think that writing, like the motivation to write and like not getting writer block, that kind of stuff comes in, like you just have to wait for the inspiration. I'm like, no, motivation comes in the doing. You need to sit there and force yourself to do it, and then motivation will come. So it's the other way. Don't sit there and wait for motivation to come to you. You got to go chase it.
Yeah, that's where the pantser part comes in too, right? Like when you're sitting down and you're actually doing it, like ideas will eventually flow, and it just goes. It takes off.
Yes. I actually have an hourglass on my desk that I flip over, because I will sit there and be a perfectionist and try to be like, okay, how does he beautifully say this word? Or how do you say titties nicely, right?
Well, how do you romantically say titties? Yeah.
Right? Yeah. How do I romantically say titties? So when the sand is going, I just spit out whatever just to get it out of the way. So I'm not sitting there trying to edit as I'm writing, trying to get this perfect thing out, because it's never going to be perfect on the first round. It's like 8 edits later is when it comes out nice.
That makes a lot of sense. Like,
I'm
I think
not
that's
a writer, so I can backseat write and be like, I've heard. Most of writing is just rewriting. You know,
1,000%.
Yeah. Like when I'm writing, like I always question it right after, and I'm just like, oh, this is garbage. I don't like it. And then like I don't want to continue writing, because I'm like, no, I need to fix it. But I heard that I should just wait till I'm done, because then it'll fix all its plot holes later. And I'm like,
Yes, absolutely. After you write it, don't even look at it. Just keep writing.
Just go.
Just blinder that shit. Just go.
The hardest part is finishing it. So just
Yes.
fucking finish it. Finish it. Then you can say you wrote something. You
Who
can't say
cares
you
if
wrote
it's
something if
garbage?
you only half finished it. Yeah, exactly. If you finish it and it's garbage, it's still more than most people.
That's right.
That's
You
true.
finished it. That's an
There's only,
accomplishment right there.
There's only like 6% of people that actually finish their first draft. And then I think actually getting to a book is like 1%. Publishing it is even less than that. So I mean, just getting done with your first draft is a huge accomplishment.
And that's
because
out of writers.
it is
That's
rough.
not out of all people. That's just
Yeah.
writers.
No, that's
people
out
writing.
of all the people who are trying to write. That's out of all of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's a very daunting thing. It has to be a passion you have, or you won't survive it.
Yeah.
You mentioned your editor, like your ride or die. Like, so what like did you need? Absolutely. Like after you wrote your book, what steps did you take? Did you do betas, alphas? Obviously an editor. How many editors? Like line editor, develop editor, like.
So I use I'm gonna throw her name out there. So her name is Hina. She's with Faymance.com. That's her company, Faymance. And I do all three. She does my developmental, my line editing, and my proofreading. So she does all of them. They're done in 3 stages. So the way I kind of explain it is it's like getting a cake. So you're gonna get all your ingredients and like, okay, these are the ingredients I want, and that's gonna be your developmental. And she's gonna be like, bitch, you're missing eggs. Where the fuck's your milk? That kind of stuff. So like the big things will move
Too
around.
much flour,
Make sure
less oil.
too much flour. That's fucking salt. What are you doing? And yeah, so she'll get me the right ingredients so I know how to make the cake correctly. And then when I had the cake and I had the layers up, then we're gonna do line editing. That's gonna be the decorating and the making it pretty and like getting the structure of the cake how we want it, like how many tiers we want, if you want like a topper, all that other shit. So you're making a nice wedding cake. And then the proofing is like the icing and the decorations and stuff. So that's when you put all the pretty razzle dazzle on it to make it all nice. So those are
Nice.
the three totally different sections you need, and they're completely different absolutely when you're writing. You can do it without an editor too, but you'll need like betas and then like alpha readers, betas, other people to read your book. The most important thing is they give you honest feedback, because 90% of people you're going to find will be like, oh, it was good, and that don't help you. It doesn't do anything.
No,
Yeah, no,
I
you need
feel
honest
like
reviews.
It's
Yeah, but I
hard
usually
when
tell
you're
them
like
shit.
sending it to like family or friends. Like they don't want to give you feedback because they don't want to hurt your feelings.
Yeah, and I'm like, so when I was looking for my editor, I was kind of a bitch about it because I didn't want someone that was just gonna blow smoke up my ass, because editing is expensive as fuck. It is ridiculous. So, but to be able to have the product that I wanted, I knew I was gonna pay that price, so I just had it on the side. So I sent them the first draft of my first chapter. So it wasn't even edited, it wasn't gone over. It was the word vomit that I spit out, and then I sent that to them and see what they said. And a lot of them came back and were like, "Oh, I love your voice. Oh, this is great. Oh, no." And I'm like, "Not you. Not you,
Yeah.
not you, not you." And then Hina came back and it was like all red, and she like tore it apart. She was like, "You have really good instincts on this, and this, but we gotta change this and this." And then like it was all like she went real hard on it. It was all red, and I was like, "This is my ride or die. This is my bitch right here."
Nice.
That's
No,
good.
Do you have any rituals before you start writing your book? Like, do you have like a certain tea you need to drink? Do you get a new notebook, a new keyboard? Like, I've seen some weird rituals these days.
So my rituals have changed. Initially when I was first writing this damn book, I could only I had to write on paper. Like when I did my edits and stuff, all had to be like I have thousands of spiral notebooks that I had to write down everything, because the words wouldn't flow if I was just sitting at a keyboard. I was like paralyzed. But if I wrote it on paper, it was fine, and then I had to transcribe it, and it was like a lot of wasted time that I realized. So my editor was like, "Bitch, go get an iPad and you can write on top of it." So I graduated to that. So I had the Word document and I could write with an iPencil. So it was like paper, and then I had to transcribe that still. And then I kind of morphed and adapted to where now I can just do it on the screen. So I don't even use my iPad anymore, which makes me kind of sad because that shit was expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
But I can leave my house and still write, so it's kind of cool. But now I can what is it called? Do the editing with two different, I just have two different windows up, and I just go back and forth between the editing, so I can take what she has suggested and what I have and kind of blend it into my nonsense and do it that way. I used to. So initially, like I said, all of it was very planned out. I've become into the creature of I get out my first draft of the story that I want that I have plotted, and I don't worry about pacing. I don't worry about any of that. I just write down all the events I see in my head, and then I throw it at my editor. She sends me back okay, this is, you're missing your eggs. This is where you gotta put your milk. She'll move stuff around to okay, this is what you gotta do to make it a cake. And then I will write after that, and we'll trade 50 pages back and forth every time. So that's how my psychotic brain needs to work, because I need to know that what I have so far is okay, or I will fixate on that first 50 pages as I'm trying to go through the rest, and it'll make me completely insane. So I need her to like hold my hand and trade pages with me. So that's what I do now, and I need my Arizona iced tea. If I don't have that, I allow myself like 1 can. If I don't have it, I can't write. Like when I get low, I get nervous. I need it.
Oh no, my husband
my
used to love
hourglass.
drinking that.
Yeah, it's fuel.
Yes, it is. It's like what I need in my mouth in the morning, so I can like be awake and write. And that and my hourglass and everything else is like consequential. I can be outside, or I can write on the iPad, or I can be on the computer. I like to be in my little hidey hole in my little office, but like if I am outside,
I love
just
your
need my
corner like
hourglass.
book like shelves. Like those are really cute.
My guys, and I have my character art is like all over the walls.
That's
So
awesome.
It is ridiculous.
Did you do the art yourself?
No, so I drew one of the pictures, but I quickly realized that I am not able to do art and write my book at the same time because it's very taxing and complicated. So this on the naked cover, I drew this one. This inverted filter's fucking with me.
Ooh.
So this one I drew. So that's the cover on my special edition that is only available through my ass. I have it hostage, and so as I drew that one, and I needed other art for the book, of course, I quickly realized that if I had to do all the art, it would probably take me a year, and I don't have time to write and art at the same time, so I commissioned it out. So Tony Viento does my art for me, and she is amazing.
I love how you have a very strong female support system. It seems like I don't. Sorry if I'm assuming someone's gender, but it sounds both of the people in your corner right now are women, and that's amazing. Like there needs to be more.
Yeah, almost. Now that I think about it, almost all of everyone that I deal with are all women, mostly. Like my artist is a woman, my editor, my critique partner are both women. They're all like
That's good.
I don't have any men in my life. Oh my god.
Well, we have your narrator here, right? You have your narrator with you today?
Okay, yeah, you're right. I have Corvin. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Representation, right?
Yeah. And when we're ready to hear your chapter, he will be here reading on your behalf, correct?
Yes, he'll be reading it for me because I will not do it justice, and he is so much better at it.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah. So we're just
this
gonna
will be the first time we had a narrator on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna just have him come in a second, and then he can just introduce himself, and you guys can talk about your relationship, how you met, and then we'll go on into the reading.
And this
is awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll just.
Do we want to do the drink words before?
Yes.
Yes,
your
we need
drink
the drink word before. So take it away.
So the drink word is Revoshnik.
Revoshnik.
He's gonna say it like 9 times. So
I've already started.
Fills up my drink.
All right, so I'm gonna invite him in.
Yes.
As soon as yes.
Can you get him, or do you want me to
I can, yeah. I'm inviting him right now. If he shows up.
Hi,
there we go.
Hey.
Hi.
How's it going? How's my level? Is my level okay?
It's good.
Perfect. It's perfect.
Awesome.
Yes.
This is my amazing narrator. Other way, this way.
Yeah.
It's like
all over
with me so hard.
Yeah.
So has Corvin narrated you before? Narrated for you before, or?
So this is my debut novel, but I actually also have a Patreon where I have my patrons vote on spicy stuff. So this month is gonna be Faye and Vashki, and their theme was Blood Kink Army. So yeah, that's what I'm writing, and Corvin also narrates that for me. So any mail I ever write, he is going to voice for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, so we got the drink words, so we'll let you start reading, and you can go. I'm gonna mute myself because I'm gonna be drinking.
Yeah,
Right.
we mute ourselves here.
Sounds good to me. Okay. Invoking the Blood, Chapter 39. Rune materialized in his father's crystalline palace, the vast hall stretching before him, its arching walls raising into a vaulted ceiling, constructed more like a chapel than a throne room. Large crystals lined either side of the hall, encapsulating the unfortunate beings who garnered his father's wrath. They stood as eternal sentries, broken in mind and body, condemned as ornaments his father used to decorate his palace. Time stretched past them, holding no meaning. Those encased were unable to die and return to the darkness. Rune's image flickered several times, and he bared his fangs. His head whipped aside as he demanded, "Cease this! Return to her!" The Ravashnik roared, racing through his mind, fighting for dominion of his body. Fury roiled through Rune. "You brought her to my bed, desecrated what I would offer my queen. She is our queen. She is not my queen!" Rune bellowed as the crystal beneath him cracked, splintering from him in every direction. The cracks deepened, widening as they split the walls of the throne room. She was not his fate. She couldn't be his. Fate would not condemn him so thoroughly. Not like this. Chest heaving, Rune surveyed the damage he caused. He mastered his powers millennia ago. He hadn't lost control since his youth. Before he could mend the damage, the Ravashnik sank its claws into his awareness and dragged his consciousness into the depths of his mind. Rune descended into himself, meeting it. He had enough of the fool creature and its incessant want for the mortal death awaiting him. Desire was as fleeting as pain. Wanting the minx was irrelevant when the cost was his life. Pain sank into his throat as he stood before the Ravashnik, a replica of himself that could not be more different. It sank its claws deeper into either side of his neck. Pain was a fleeting thing, and the creature finally found the end of Rune's patience. He will not bend. Not for a spell. Not for a peasant, and certainly not for the Ravashnik who invited their very death to his bed. Your will is already hers. You didn't mind her in your bed when you were feasting between her thighs. She is everything we dreamed of, and you left her! The Ravashnik's claws connected behind Rune's windpipe as it hissed. I will return to her and mend things. Rune seized his wrist and squeezed, crushing bones until the grip on his throat slackened and fell away. He speared his other hand into the creature's chest in a practiced motion and tore its heart free. The Ravashnik's eyes, dark eyes, clouded as it collapsed at his feet. Rune kicked it onto its back, pausing for the briefest moment as he gazed down on his own dead form. He'd always imprisoned it in his mind, viewing the bothersome creature as the cost of his power. It would continue to heedlessly court his death. The spell must be tied to the Ravashnik. If he killed it, would he still be a pureblood? He would remain a shadow man like his brothers, like his father, become lesser as a turned vampire, perhaps? It mattered not. The consequence was a necessity. This spell had gone on longer than Rune could tolerate. Killing the Ravashnik would sever the tie the minx held over him, the leash she unknowingly held, yanking him closer with every exchange. Rune knelt beside the fallen creature, taking it by its throat. He took a final breath, bracing himself for the pain he was sure would follow. With a twist of his wrist, its head separated from its shoulders. He'd expected agony, a tearing of some kind when he ended the creature, but Rune felt nothing. He got to his feet, the Ravashnik's head lay on its side, its long, white blonde hair staining red in the growing pool beneath it. The Ravashnik blinked before its gaze swept up to meet his. Rune recoiled as a smirk formed over the creature's mouth. Did you honestly believe all those centuries you studied under Saith, until our body failed you? I haven't killed you. It laughed, then settled itself with a sigh before saying, You have died dozens of times, while our body lay unconscious recovering. The creature's form dissipated into smoke and shadow, its dark, shadowy gaze lingering, being the last to fade. His disembodied voice echoed around him, traveling upward. You can't kill me. We are two halves of the same coin. There is no separation for ones like us. We exist in tandem, or not at all. A mental barrier fell over Rune, caging him. You can wait in the shadows while I return to our queen. Rune's power rose, answering his fury. The fool creature sought to trap him and take possession of his body. Never. The mental binding shattered around him as he ascended to his physical body. My will is greater than yours. Every deed you commit, every thought that rattles your fool mind is because I allow it. Rune stalked to the edge of the hall, a pillar of shimmering crystal rising to meet him, his realm obeying his will. Rune touched the pillar, spreading his fingers wide. He summoned the Rabashnik and cast its consciousness into the crystal. The creature did not separate from his mind. Rune tried a second time, to no effect. Frustration mounted in Rune. He dropped his hand, burying the creature within the recesses of his mind, until he no longer felt his frantic thrashing. Rune stalked toward his father's throne, while the creature's roar echoed from his confines. "Return to her!" Rune growled, rubbing his hand over his bare chest. With a flicker of his mind, the trunk appeared before him. Rune crouched and opened it, withdrawing his shirt. He stood, roughly pulling it on. He'd finished buttoning it before he recognized the boots trapped within the crystal pillar beside him. His gaze lifted to a woman. Fiery red hair fanned out around her still and suspended in her prison. Her chromatic sage gaze met his, and a dark smile spread over his lips. She was a broken mind trapped in flesh that would never return to the darkness. Sadie had broken her mind and shattered her core centuries ago, stripping her of the Dayblood shard she once carried. Rune sealed what remained of her flesh with his father's other gruesome curiosities, forever imprisoned in standing shadows. "Sadira," Rune said, inclining his head, greeting the queen who enslaved him for 137 years. Her gaze flickered over him and frantically searched her surroundings. "Lovely to see you as always." Rune strolled away from her, approaching his father's macabre throne. Julian was created with 9 other shadowmen as caretakers to Hell and served Saith. His father rebelled against Saith along with the other shadowmen in what would be known as a Great War. After his father's victory, Julian killed each of his brethren, using their bones to construct a throne Rune never sat in. He walked past the grisly chair to the passageway behind it, leading into their family's quarters. Rune climbed the steps, needing silence and distance to clear his mind. The minx consumed his thoughts, eroding his will. He would ask Sadie to look into his mind. Perhaps she could see the spell binding the minx to the Ravashnik. Rune's thoughts wandered to Faye. He could still feel her, hear her breathy sighs, her taste lingering on his tongue, making it impossible to center his thoughts. He silently strolled the familiar halls, needing to cleanse Faye's sin from him. Darkness, let me find this spell tying her to me. Remaining with her was a death sentence. Don't let her be mine.
Oh my god, that was so good!
That was great. Thank you so much.
Ooh, that was awesome.
See, this is why I didn't want to read it, because this fucker can do it so much better than me.
Yeah. It's great. Oh, Jessica, you're muted. Jessica,
Jessica,
you're
you're still on
muted.
mute.
Fuck, that was my bad. Hey, I was just saying, I'm also getting into voice acting. You'd think I'd know how to do a mic. Ha!
Well, it looks like you got a 7B, right?
Yeah, it's...
She's reading the label.
Shut up! I have a man to buy this shit for me. What are you talking
Fair,
about?
valid.
Yeah, no. It's dynamic. I know that much. I know how to work the levels. Don't worry, I do all the audio editing for this podcast.
You do. Yeah.
Yeah. So you better not talk bad to me.
You sound like an idiot.
No, that was
Yeah.
great. That was great. I loved that just because, like, you know, like the different accents and stuff for like the characters. It was very, very dynamic.
That was
Well.
amazing. Any other questions?
I asked everything I had. So do you guys have anything else, or do you want just them to plug their
Yeah, I would like to know where to find you guys. Or
So everything can be found at KalistaNeith.com. My link tree is linktree/Kalista Neith, but KalistaNeith.com will have all of my everything is listed on my website. I'm on TikTok as Kalista_Neith_author. And then I tackle with Corvin.
The links are going to be in the bottom of this episode.
Yes.
everyone will still find it. If you didn't write it down, it will be in the information.
Yeah, I try to make sure, I want people to have like easy access.
Where can they find you, Corvin?
I am everywhere as Corvin King. Find me on Instagram and on TikTok as Corvin King. Yeah, and I'm also on Audible as Corvin King.
Great,
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. You're
What's
our
been-
like voice person.
Yeah,
it's
it's our first
we
one,
don't know
yeah.
what to do with you.
Amazing. He's amazing.
It's so good though. Yeah, no, it's a great idea. Like that's really opened up a lot of avenues. So that's great.
Yeah, thank you
I
so much
legit
for having
tackled.
me.
I legit tackled Corvin. I was like, "Hey, I need you. You have Boone's voice. I need you to do this in a Russian accent."
You didn't even hear his Russian accent first, or did you?
Like he learned it. He learned it.
He
for my
learned it
book.
just for you. That's great.
Yes,
That's
amazing.
dedication. Yeah,
It was-
good for
it was
you,
awesome.
Corvin.
Well, because I remember we were hanging out and doing a thing. We were talking, and she was talking about her book, and I was like, oh man, I didn't know if I was gonna have an opportunity to do her book, and so I was like, oh man, that's the one that got away because it's so good. I love her writing so much, and like I enjoy all the books I do, but like that one was special, and I was like, oh, you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Other people need good projects too.
That's
And then like as she was developing her like audio desires for the book, she slid into my DMs and was like, hey Corvin, can you do a Russian accent? I was like, when do you need me to record? The answer then would be
He was
yes.
like, "I can learn."
That's
I
so
do
good,
now.
though. Yeah, that shows that it's good. Like if like the person reading it is excited to do it, like
Oh, yeah.
yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah,
It's
it's
Okay.
amazing. His-
impossible not to be excited about being Rune and Boschke and everybody. Glorious psychos.
He said the word again. I like
yeah,
yeah,
they're like-
like drink.
You're on
I'm just
programmed,
drinking.
right?
Yeah, I'm like in program mode. I just feel the need to drink now.
Thank you so much for coming on, guys. It's great to spend our Saturday night with you. And
And yeah, so we're gonna leave it here. So again, if you want to check out, I'll leave Corvin's links, and I'll also leave Kalista's links, of course. But I'll leave a link for you, Corvin, just so like people know who you
that's
are.
very kind.
Don't you worry about it. Don't you worry about it. In the bottom of the episode below, and thank you so much for listening to our Books and Booze series on Opinionated Lushes. Again, every Thursday you can come join us while we drink and talk with some indie authors because it's interesting. I mean, I'm not an author, so they're already more accomplished than I am. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.
bye.
Bye.